The topic of joy is so fun to talk about. Why is that? It's because the soul's most natural state is joy and contentment. I want to help you understand why it is that we seek joy. Why is it that we seek fun? Why is it that we are trying to have as much of that joyful experience as we can in life, even though the dang human condition is not all that pleasant? So, I'm going to start with talking about the human condition. Now, we are all humans. We are all doing this life thing. We're all doing the adulting. We're all doing this just human condition in general. The reason that me, as a psychologist, that I talk about this so much is the fact that being a therapist, you hear everything. You hear everything that a person goes through. You hear lots of different stories. You hear, oh gosh, you hear everything. And, it can wear heavily on a person. But the reason that I want to bring this joy topic to you now is the whole idea of that our soul's most natural state is joy and contentment. I've said this a million times, but if I'm going to give you a metaphor, so if you don't understand why our soul's most natural state is joy and why the human condition has all this wonderful way of getting us off track, I want to help you pull that together so you can understand why it's important to get yourself back to a joyful state, but in a healthy way. So I want to give you the metaphor of basically a thermostat. So what a thermostat does, as we know, is it monitors what's going on externally to us so that it can kind of keep our house or a situation, our car, whatever it might be. It's a thermostat that keeps the equilibrium. So when we talk about the soul, I talk about the essence of who we are is the energetic essence of who we are. If you think about our soul's most natural state of joy and contentment, anything within the human condition that throws us off that state is going to try to get our attention. So that energetic part of us, that internal processing system, that internal monitoring system that we have, that, oh gosh, I don't feel so good, or I feel kind of off, I feel a little sad, I feel a little upset, I feel a little cranky. All of that is, yes, those are emotions, but where does that come from? It's the soul's message system. It's the alert system. It's those little lights on that thermostat that are saying, whoa, something's out of whack here. This is not an equilibrium that we want. And so I try to emphasize the fact that emotions are messages to us. Physical symptoms oftentimes are messages to us. But we have learned to basically dismiss that inner voice to actually ask what the heck is going on that needs some attention. And we've looked outside of ourselves way too much to figure out, how do I fix this? Well, maybe I need to go eat a donut. Maybe I need to go have a couple beers. Maybe I need to go veg out in front of a TV for a couple hours. All of those things are kind of nice once in a while, but the thing is, they are not going to get at the core of what is causing your discomfort. That whole idea of checking in with your soul is really what you need in order to get you where you need to be, which is why I emphasize this so much, which is why I talk about the soul so much, is if you could understand that soul, that internal processing system, that central processing system is monitoring every single thing about us at every single second, we would know more to kind of step back and go, wait, what is it trying to tell me right now? What is that alert system trying to alert me to? What is it trying to indicate that is off balance or misaligned? And this is why I think talking about joy is so vital and important. So again, if you think about this homeostasis, if you think about this whole idea of a thermostat trying to keep things balanced, your soul is the thermostat. Your soul is basically your alert system to tell you when something in your life is not going well. Now, my soul health model is, I created that model almost 20 years ago now. Those 10 branches of the human condition that really everybody at some point in their life has to struggle with or has to kind of look through to see what we need to do to balance this. That is like your roadmap to start understanding what is misaligned. What is this gut reaction trying to get me aware of? What is this sadness trying to tell me? What is this anxiety trying to tell me? What is this lethargy or fatigue trying to tell me? What is this pain in my back trying to tell me? If you were just to use that approach to conscious evolution, which is becoming conscious of what it is that's going on within you that's kind of off kilter, in other words, just paying attention to that thermostat system and realizing that something's off, if you were to consciously monitor that for yourself and then pull back long enough to go, what was that about? What is causing that discomfort? That right there is your first step of conscious evolution. That is your first step in evolving beyond whatever is happening in your human condition that it is misaligning you anyway. So when it comes to joy, joy is our most natural state, which is why we all want to get there, which is all we want to go, all of us want to go have fun, or all of us want to go do things that are trying to replicate that soul's most natural state, is trying to get us back to what we know at a deep level. So the idea of joy, I mean, joy is a wonderful thing. And I find the simplest things are the most joyful things for me, honestly. Those are the things I tear up about. Those are the things that when I embrace those moments, when I become the moment of whatever it is that's bringing me joy at the time, that feeds me so deeply that I don't need that donut or I don't need that couple beers or whatever it might be. It's like that moment, that soul-based living, that is feeding your soul at such a level that this other stuff that's part of the human condition, you don't really need anymore. So again, I talk about the soul's idea and need for joy so much with people as clients, and whether they're therapy clients or soul healing clients or people I'm teaching at this moment, to understand that that soul's most natural state, which is pretty simple, it's joy and contentment, it is trying to tell us something when we don't feel that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the human condition in general. I tell people the human condition is relentless. It is something that will just keep on giving you, will keep on trying to challenge us or get us off track or misalign us. And, years ago, and they don't really know for sure who said this, there's a couple assumptions from a couple hundred years ago that there was a philosopher that said, we are humans we're not humans living a spiritual experience. We're basically spiritual people living a human experience. And that really resonates for me. That has always resonated for me because of my belief in reincarnation and what I teach about reincarnation. But we also have to think about the human experience that we have is not always pleasant. In fact, in 9 times out of 10, we're struggling with something. We're stressed about something. There's something that we are trying to overcome or get out of our way. Again, think about it from a joy perspective. Think about it from a soul perspective. Those struggles, just the existence or the existential experience of having those struggles, is part of your soul's way of trying to get your attention. It is part of trying to say, how can I evolve beyond this? Now, I'm not going to say that our soul has complete control over things like natural disasters or other events that happen in our lives that are kind of happening to us, but it is part of our soul's experience in order to have the opportunity to learn, really, the opportunity to evolve. And if you keep coming back to this idea of, wow, this is making me really uncomfortable, this is making me sad or angry or hurt or whatever is taking you away from that joy, and you start to look at it from a little bit of a deeper level to go, okay, what am I supposed to learn that will bring me back to that joy place? What is it that can evolve beyond or let go of or understand differently? That's how that brings you back to center. That is how that brings you back to that, again, equilibrium, that homeostasis, that thermostat approach to figuring out how do I get back to that joy and contentment. Now, many, many, many people go to the wrong things. They misdirect their joy to going out and partying, going out and spending money, going out and having sex, or having whatever it is that is going to bring them temporary joy. But it's a replacement for that soul's contentment. And so I'm not saying don't go do some of those things as part of creating joy and part of kind of getting yourself back, back into a place where you feel filled up, because we do have to do that to some extent. But it's learning, what is the balance? What is it that's going to help me balance? And again, you can use that thermostat approach when you think about, how much fun do I need to go have? How many concerts do I need to go to? Whatever it is that you do, how much golfing do I need to do? You have to kind of balance it out to go, is that really going to bring me peace and joy? Is that really going to bring me contentment? Or am I doing that so I have to avoid or can avoid doing the work of the human condition to get me there more naturally anyway? And that is an important part of this is if we are misdirecting our behaviors, we're kind of avoiding getting ourselves back to that most natural state of who we are. And it's only going to pop up again. It's only if our joy and contentment, if our soul is not healthy, then it is going to find us in one way or another and get our attention in one way or another, whether it's through emotions or physical symptoms or whatever it might be, it's going to get our attention. Now, I have a joke that basically says, you know, that our human condition is like a Pez dispenser, that we get through one thing and we think we've kind of chewed it up and digested it and kind of forgotten it and it's moved on. And then whoop, here comes another lesson. Here comes another challenge of the human condition. Here comes another opportunity, in my words, to grow and evolve and look at that next challenge to go, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? How can I evolve beyond this? What am I supposed to learn about this? And as you work through that process, what does it do? It brings you back to that state of alignment. It brings you back to that state of joy and contentment because you've worked through whatever it is. So there are levels and layers of this conscious evolution thing that are really necessary for us to get to that joy and contentment stage. But the whole idea is that is who we are at the core. That is who we are as humans. That is who we are as souls. When we realize that's that peace, that's that joy and contentment that we have within. And I do this because I mean that alignment. When things are aligned, there's nothing out of whack. That's why I think we can use this homeostasis, this thermostatic kind of idea for how we monitor joy and contentment, because it's all soul based. And as one of the people in my Soul Health Scholars course said recently, that she realized, wow, okay, the soul really is present in everything. And it really is. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize for people. You know, when I talk about bringing ancient wisdom to the modern soul, it's all about helping you understand in a very practical and modern way how to really apply what the soul does and how it shows up in everyday life. And the most basic way to figure that out is to understand that joy and contentment is pretty much who we are at the core level. If you take away all the wounds, if you take away all the ego kinds of things, if you take away anything that has misaligned us, that's who we are. We are souls who are joyful and content and pretty happy-go-lucky. It's the human condition that mucks us up. So these practical kinds of things, I just want to start weaving more and more of this idea of the soul back into people's lives so they realize that that inner part of themselves, that inner core, that energetic kind of ball of who we are inside has all of the wisdom we need. And joy and contentment is a huge awareness that basically we're off key, we're off our alignment, we're off our mark if we're not feeling that. So play with this, understand this, ask me questions, send me messages, whatever you need to do. Watch more videos because, again, joy and contentment is the core of who we are. Anything else is a human condition, but the human condition is here to teach us how to get back to that most natural state. And I hope that is all making sense for you as you've watched this video. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day and go be joyful and content in a very healthy and natural and soulful way.